Okay.
I'm recording. All right.
All right. Okay, hang on. Hey, Kimberly, it's so good to see you again, as always. And off camera, we started a conversation. What we tend to do, it's like, oh my gosh, we got to hit record before we have the entire conversation.
Yeah, we do this a lot. Yep. Hi, Victoria. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Victoria and Kimberly show.
We should just, have a monthly show.
Yeah, we need to do this regularly. And so we're just having a chat today, just like if we were chatting on the phone. I'm not interviewing her. She's not interviewing me. So don't come after me and say, oh, you didn't let your guest talk. She's not my guest. We're girlfriends having a conversation. We're girlfriend light workers. She's my soul sister. We're just having a conversation. And what are we talking about? We're talking about current events, all the crap that's happening on planet Earth, how you people can all deal with this crap that's happening on planet Earth. and whatnot,
Wow.
Whatever we can talk about that might be helpful for everyone.
Yeah, so I always set the intentions whenever I go on camera. I set the intentions that what comes through me, and in this case, what comes through both of us, is what is the best for all concerned.
Yep.
And that is the highest loving divine truth. I always set that intention.
I actually prayed that this morning. I asked my team to speak through me if there was important information they wanted everybody to know, to please speak through me and please guide my words and my thoughts for the highest good of everybody that's listening. Yeah. That was my prayer this morning when I got up.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I know we never know what's going to come through, but this is the intentions that we set, and we ask that what comes through us is the highest and greatest good of all concerned. So
yep, absolutely.
We'll see what spirit speaks through us.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we started talking earlier about the weather.
Yeah, the chemtrails and the weather.
Isn't that funny? It's funny because I just realized, when you're talking to someone you don't really know very well, it's one of those, hey, so how's the weather today? But when we ask that question, we're actually serious about it, not just how's the weather.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So off camera, we were talking about how much the weather has changed over the last 20, 30 years, and that people have got to stop this climate denial, because it's true. We're in the middle of a climate crisis. But what we need to talk about is what's really the cause of it. And that's what is being swayed. The conversation about what's creating it and how it's resolved is being swayed by the dark side for us to believe, to not recognize the agenda and the role that they are playing in the climate crisis. Yeah. So you'd have to be living under a rock to not notice how much the weather has changed.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I was telling Victoria, and I have huge windows in front of my face here, and I'm sitting here and watching them spray chemtrails right now. So we haven't had blue sky all winter. It's been gray, and depressing. And where I live, that is abnormal, completely abnormal, because most of the year is usually sunny here. We don't get a lot of rain. We get snow in the winter, but when it's not snowing, it's sunny usually. And this winter has been unusually gray beyond all imagination. And I'm looking up every time there's a blue sky, and I wake up in the morning, oh, look, a blue sky. It's so beautiful. And I go in the window and I just feel the sun shining on me. And then an hour later, they've had the whole sky covered with chemtrails. And I'm actually sitting here in the window watching them lay them out in a pattern, in a weird pattern with these lines. They make them in a pattern. It looks like a checkerboard, like a Masonic checkerboard pattern. Basically, they do that every single time. And, honestly, I was telling Victoria, if I had a laser blaster, I would get them out of there. I wish I could do something about it, but I can't. I don't have any ability to do anything about that. So I just have to put up with it. So
we have to wait until their technology gets disabled. And I don't know how long that's going to take. I know that it needs to be exposed before it's taken down, because people are going to need to see the evidence of it.
Yeah.
And I have the same thing here. I've been sunny Southern California. As I was telling you before, I moved here for sunny Southern California, and it is just not sunny here.
No.
Here at the beach, it is cloudy and cold all year round. Right now, this morning I got up, it's 45 degrees, and it's sunny. my concern is that by the time this conversation is over, it'll be cloudy outside. And some mornings, then the normal pattern 20 years ago, 30 years ago was that it would be cloudy in the morning and then the sun would burn the marine layer off. Well, we don't have that. Sometimes it's sunny in the morning like it is right now, and then the cloud cover moves in, which is not clouds, and the sun never burns it off. Because I get up in the morning and sometimes it's this beautiful clear blue sky, and yeah, I can see the chemtrails being sprayed. And I think it's important for people to understand there's a difference between contrails and chemtrails. The contrails dissipate almost immediately.
Yes, they do. And they don't fill the skies up with white color everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, not at all.
And the chemtrails stay and they'll linger for hours and hours and hours. And
over here, it's all day.
You see them crisscrossed across the sky. And that many airplanes haven't been flying over as far as, commercial airlines. There aren't that many airplanes that fly over, but there are a lot more chemtrails than there are flights.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And so the people who are in climate change denial that say the climate's not changing, they are missing the boat big time, because yes, there's climate change, but you have to look at what is the root cause of the climate change. And I would say that most of it is being geoengineered. There's actually a movie you can watch called The Dimming. I'm trying to find the name of the guy that did it, but he's the guy that has the geoengineer watch station on YouTube. Here, let me look up I can actually go to my library here, my history, and find him. But it's like the climate change. Let's see if I can find it. The Dimming by Dane Wigington. So Dane Wigington has a channel. He's got 131,000 subscribers, and he did a full length documentary 10 months ago called The Dimming on geoengineering and how they're changing our climate. They use DARPA, they use HARP, they use all of this kind of, they use weather weapons, directed energy weapons, all these different things. All of the massive hurricanes that we've had in the Caribbean over the last, I don't know, I'd say maybe 20 years, were all geoengineered. Even volcanoes erupting. That one that erupted in Canary Islands, they made that erupt. They purposely made it erupt. And they actually kind of hint to that kind of stuff in the movie Marvel Eternals. In the Marvel Eternals movie, they have a volcano that's erupting in that movie, and they hint to a lot of stuff in that movie. They show you a lot of stuff about the truth, a lot of truth in that movie. And I don't know if that's a white hat presentation or a dark hat presentation, since most of Hollywood has always been dark hats showing you what they're doing to us. But the fact of the matter is that most of the bad weather things and the climate change and the global warming has been caused by humans perpetrating it on purpose to destroy the planet.
Well, it started, my understanding, because I started discovering this about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And what I was shown is they were testing these different they weren't called energy weapons at the time. They were the geoengineering, because they wanted to figure out if they could create an atmosphere. If they could figure out how to create the atmosphere here, then they could take that technology to Mars or to someplace else and set up a new planet someplace else. Like if this planet gets destroyed, they would all just pick up their technology and go someplace else.
Well, just like Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. What's that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger where they have an atmosphere on Mars?
Total Recall, I think.
Total Recall.
Yeah, it was that kind of idea where they were testing the technology here, but they screwed up our weather so bad that now they want to blame it on everybody else. That's why I keep saying we need to hold the people accountable who made the mess. They're trying to blame it on people driving their cars, or trying to blame it on cows. We talk about the cows too, because we talked about that off camera, and there is an issue there, but it's not because
it's deforestation.
Yeah, it's the deforestation, making room for all the cattle, for all the farming. And it's also because cows aren't being fed grass, they're being fed corn, and cows can't digest corn.
They can't digest it, so it makes them have horrible putrid gas. It's kind of like if you eat a really bad bean enchilada and you're just tooting away all day long.
Yeah.
Because your body's not meant to digest that.
So cows can't digest corn, and cause the corn they're eating. So there's all these corn subsidies that farmers are being given to grow a crop that people can't digest and cows can't digest. It's a completely false, what's the word I'm thinking of? The entire crop it's false.
Yeah.
It's to feed cows that make cows sick. And because the cows get sick, they have to take antibiotics. And because they take antibiotics, then we get the antibiotics from the meat that we eat. It's the whole entire thing.
Yeah. It's a nonstop circle of destructive, disgustingness.
Cows eat grass.
Yeah.
And then cows don't have these horrible,
right,
all this gaseous stuff.
Right.
And farmers are being paid these subsidies to grow something that nobody can digest, instead of subsidizing farmers to grow carrots and potatoes and grass and things that we can actually, not grass, but yeah, I mean, ranchers, you should just let their cows roam free. That is what cows do in nature.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all been commercialized into this corn industry, the cattle industry and the corn industry.
And the corn's all GMO and has glyphosate sprayed all over it, it's poison. So the cows are getting poison in their body. They're being poisoned. And then we're eating that poison every time we drink the milk from these cows, or we eat the cows or the pigs or any of the livestock. Anytime all the livestock, chickens, all of them are being fed stuff that's loaded with Roundup and pesticides and all sorts of terrible things, and that's going into our body. And I read some tests somewhere where they said that they did like a study on humans, that one person will have like 6,000 different toxins and stuff in their body from all the stuff that they're doing. And that's not normal. You're not supposed to have that in your body at all, like none of it.
Right. Yeah. So it's all just these, they're all interconnected and they're all making money off of each other. And and it's interesting, going back to the geoengineering thing, what we're talking about in the beginning. I saw an article a month or so ago about China, and China actually admits that they use geoengineering intentionally to keep the skies clear for the oh my gosh, Olympics.
Wow.
So they were having the Olympics, and so they're using geoengineering to keep the weather they want it to be for the Olympics. So they're actively saying that. And then there was something about a year ago I read about how Bill Gates he donated like $2 billion to put dust in the air.
He actually gave a whole speech about it. Some people have sent it to me on video. I don't know what happened to that video, but a long time ago, I got videos of him actually speaking and talking about how we need to spray the sky. We need to block out the sun with sunblock, like basically like what's that called? UV blocker in the sky to block the sun out, to prevent the earth from overheating or whatever.
The sun isn't the issue. We know the sun's not the problem.
It's actually the opposite. The sun, if you follow any of the light workers that are talking about the sun right now all over social media, the sun actually heals the human body and activates our DNA and helps us to ascend and awaken. The sun is helping us to awaken and ascend, especially because the fake old sun was removed and now we have our real sun. And then we have the central sun that is working through our sun with the solar flares to help progress humanity into the 5D and help to ascend. And they don't want us to ascend. So part of why they're blocking the sun has nothing to do with heating up the earth. They're blocking the sun to prevent your ascension.
Right. And so what I was shown back in 2015, what St. Germain was explaining to me is that the chemtrails actually block the gamma rays. Mm-hmm. So these gamma waves have been coming in, and the gamma waves actually, I think I told you, I got that message, then I went in the house, and then the kids had
they're photon gamma waves.
Right, that came on, and it was, what it does is that the gamma waves actually change our DNA. It ignites our superpowers. Mm-hmm. So the last thing the dark side wants is for our superpowers to be activated. So the spraying of the air is actually to prevent these gammas from being, activating our spiritual gifts and our ascension. So it's all part of it, and people don't see it, but they want to see the sky. So it's like that. And I was telling you, if for those of you who haven't seen it yet, I love kids animated movies, and so much stuff is hidden in there. But there was a movie that came out about 10 years ago called Igor. And so if you get a chance to watch it, it's all about how the sky is intentionally made gray.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then it's controlled by these monsters. And yeah.
Yeah, you were telling me about this movie because you asked me if I had ever seen it, and I said no. And when you started describing it, I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what they're doing to us. And then they're putting it in a movie and showing it to us.
Because that's what they do.
Yeah, they do it all the time because they have this belief that they get our consent. They need our consent to harm us. And so by putting it in a movie, they're getting our consent. I'm
Right.
sorry, but that's a bunch of bull shit.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
call it blind compliance.
Yeah.
So they have to show us what they're doing. And because we've seen it, then we've agreed to it. It's blind compliance. And it's a loophole they found in the law of free will choice. So free will choice is the prime directive on our planet.
Right. But they're breaking all the laws because when
Yeah,
they
they're
do
breaking
that,
all
they're
the
actually
laws,
breaking
and
the laws.
they will be held accountable for that. I've been
Mhm.
shown very clearly that they will be held accountable for breaking the law of free will choice. But they think they've gotten away with it through this blind compliance. Well, we told them what we were doing. We gave them a choice of whether they wanted to have issues with it or not. Oh yeah, we just made it look like entertainment so they wouldn't recognize it, but we told them what was really going on. So they think they found this lucky loophole, but we know that's not the case.
No, have
They will be held
Victoria, have you
accountable
and
for
I
it.
talked about what is going to actually happen with their punishment? Because I know I've seen it. I was shown it over and over again and told what is happening to them. Have we talked about that?
The divine justice.
Yeah, well, they're basically okay. So they locked our planet down 26,000 years ago or so and prevented us from ascending and all that kind of thing. Because we were actually supposed to ascend when Yeshua came here. He came here to help us ascend, and they killed him for it. So we've been supposed to ascend for a long time. But anyways, they had us locked down. They had this matrix trap where they would scrape your soul, put you into false light contracts of suffering, and send you back over and over. I talk about it in my book, that wheel of samsara. And they did that to humanity for 26,000 years, where they were recycling us over and over. And they would recycle. The difference between us and them recycling is all the evil dictators and reptilians that keep recycling over and over. They know who they are, and they kept their memories. So they know what they're doing to us. Like they do the same thing over and over. They know exactly who they are, but they wipe our memory. So guess what their punishment is? For all of you people listening who don't know this, they are being soul scraped and they are being sent to a 3D planet that's several of my friends have taken pictures of it. There's a person on YouTube named Sean Colvin something. She did a whole video and she showed the sun with this big, huge planet to the right of it. And she's like, what the heck? And she's freaking out and like, oh my God, what is that thing? And you can see a big planet next to the sun. That's where they're being sent. It's kind of like a big space station. It's come around to pick them up. They're being sent there and they're going to be locked down in the same matrix that we were locked down in for 26,000 years, except they're going to be the sufferers. We were the sufferers and they were the satanic bosses. And now they're going to be the sufferers, and they're going to basically receive what they give. What Yeshua told me is they will receive what they dished out, is how he put it. He said they will receive what they dished out. So what they did to humanity, they will receive the same, and they will not be allowed out of there for 26,000 years. And they're exiled from Earth. They cannot come back to Earth. They can't leave. They can never leave that planet and come back here again. They're not allowed to. They're actually permanently exiled. They're never allowed back here again. The galactics, actually Elena Denon talks about that on her channel, about how they made an agreement with the galactics and everything. And the galactics are making sure that they're permanently exiled from Earth and they're never to come back here again.
Right. Yeah. I had Elena on a couple of days ago and we had a great conversation. Yeah. We called it, what my guides were calling it, a rehabilitation planet. So some people call it a prison planet. What I was shown is it's a rehabilitation planet. That, at some point they might be able to be rehabilitated, but that could take, who knows how many lifetimes of them actually understanding and experiencing their own karma in a sense, right? So they created this karma concept here. They're going there and they're going to take however long it takes to be rehabilitated. And but like you, what I was shown is that there are some who can't be, and those souls will be obliterated and sent back to source. But perhaps through thousands of lifetimes, they'll be able to be rehabilitated. But they're not welcome to come back here because we've ascended. And and we know some of them are already being taken off planet. But that's what I was shown in 2018 when Ezekiel came here with his spaceship. We've talked about Ezekiel.
Yeah, you and I have talked about it because I saw his ship. I saw it, and I called you, and you're like, "Oh, that's Ezekiel's ship," and I knew that it was. But
it was February 18th, 2020. I remember the date because the day before he started communicating with me, and then the next day, I think you sent me a video that said, "Look, that looks like Ezekiel's spaceship right in front of the sun." I was like, "Oh my gosh, yeah!" I was just talking to him yesterday, and so what he was showing me is they were beaming all these entities that were living in the underground tunnels and the underground cities. They were beaming them up like a Star Trek thing onto his spaceship into what looks like a holodeck, and then taking them to this other planet. So they don't know at first. They still think they're on Earth because this other planet is a duplicate of this one. It looks exactly the same. But once they get there, then they realize, oh, wait, this isn't where I thought I was. And they have to now play the game differently because we're not there to manipulate. So, and the holodeck, Ezekiel's holodeck looked just like where they were. So if they're being beamed up in their sleep, they wake up thinking that's where they are. And they don't even know that they've been taken someplace else until it's too late.
Yeah, they have to be tricked because they keep recycling back here as new evil emperors over and over again.
And so all of the underground beings, all those beings, those cities have all been emptied out of all the bad ETs. All that remains is the people who are on the surface. And what I was shown is all that's remaining are the shadow people, because they're
they're here.
The non-physical ones are a little bit harder to catch. The demons, they're a little bit harder because it's like Ghostbusters, right? You got to figure out how to round up these non-physical entities.
Well, there's like 900 billion demons or something like that, or 10. There's 10. I was told that there's like 10 demons for every human on this planet. So they're just
not as many because they've been ghost busting them.
Yeah,
but they're harder.
But there was originally they're just each human.
They're harder to catch because they don't have physical bodies and they disguise really well.
Yeah, they shapeshift.
The shapeshifters are harder to find,
and they can go into people and hide inside a person.
Yeah, if somebody doesn't protect their fields, that's what would be called being possessed.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So we have to protect our fields.
Yep.
And then the reptilians that look like human beings. So
the little short guy whose name starts with F, he is a dark colored one of them. Do you know who I'm talking about? The little short guy pushing this thing. Yeah.
And so they are all going to be removed. Now, what and Elena and I both talked about the other day is that as it's now our responsibility to stand up to them. So they're not going to be removed without human beings standing up for themselves and their rights and their free will choice. So we'll actually be the ones that dismantle them from their positions, because human beings need to know what's happened on the planet. If all the bad people are pulled out of government and then just mysteriously disappear, human beings won't know what it is they're being rescued from. I didn't hear it.
Do you see what's going on behind me? Do you see that?
Yeah, what is that?
It's an angel, and it's showing up on the camera.
I wondered what that was.
It's an angel. It's on the camera right now. You can see it. Usually you can't see him.
I've been watching it for about 5 minutes and wondered what it was.
It moved. It was further over that way, and it moved. It's an angel.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know who is that. Michael? No. Oh, she's moving. She's like sitting. She's kind of like almost like sitting. Is that a female? It's a female. It's one of my angels. Yeah. And you guys can't see it on camera, but behind me, when I turn around and look, I can actually see all of her body, like full, like I can see her head, her arms, her whole body, like all the structures of her body perfectly in the room. It doesn't show up that good on the camera, but when I look at it, I can make out all her features and everything.
Wow. Yeah. I can see head and I can see wings. Yeah.
It's an angel. It's an angel showing, it's purposely showing itself to give people hope.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because they
Beautiful.
don't usually show themselves on camera like that, but she's doing that so she can give people some hope that there are angels here. They're all around us and
Mhm.
they're here to fight for our victory.
Yeah. So you were
So,
talking about the number of demons that are here. There are far more angels here.
mhm. Absolutely.
That's for
I
people
was
to
shown that
understand.
there are billions of angel armies,
Yeah.
whoo. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so
So when they
many.
talk about the hosts of angels, that's actually what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of them are embodied as human, so they're harder to
Mhm.
recognize. And there are a lot of them here, in the higher dimensions, but we just can't see them because our eyes can't see them.
Yeah.
But that's lovely that she's made herself manifest for all of us.
Yeah, usually that never happens to me on camera. Like I'll have clients that are psychic that I'll be doing a reading, or I'll be on a women's group, and there'll be some psychic women and they'll go, "You have an angel standing right next," like they can see being standing next to me. One time somebody saw Yeshua standing on my left and
Mm,
my female angel standing on my right. That's my female angel, and she's actually showing herself to everyone.
cool. Yeah, that's beautiful.
So yeah, she's just
Yeah.
hanging out there and just watching. She's just like she's being a spectator of what we're doing, she's just watching us.
Mhm. Well, that's what they do mostly. They
Yeah.
just walk around and watch us and
Hmm.
hold the vibration up for us because
Yeah.
we need them here helping us hold up our vibration.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm freaking out right now because this is the first time that one has like shown itself on cam, like it's physically showing itself. And so I'm just
Mhm.
kind of freaking out right now. Anyways, with happy freak
Mhm.
out. I may
That's
cry.
cool.
Anyways,
Oh,
just like, yeah, oh my God, I'm so honored to have these angels in my life. I don't know what I'd do without that protection. Yeah, just incredible. So anyway, so for everybody who's watching, I know that you're seeing I know you guys are all waiting to see something change or something happen. I don't know about you all, but I really feel something's coming soon, very soon. I
mhm.
really do. I feel like the pressure mounting and like a speeding up of time. Like I noticed the time is speeding up really fast. The other day I looked at my clock and it was 1:05, and it was 1 o'clock, and what felt like 5 minutes going by, all of a sudden it was 2 o'clock almost. It was like 1:50. And I'm like, okay, 50 minutes passed by and what felt like 2, 3, 4 minutes. What the heck
Yeah.
just happened? It was literally, I mean, because I went to do something, and the task that I went to do, I do it every day. It was like brushing my teeth or something silly like that. And it's a task that takes me 2 or 3 minutes. I know how long it takes. And then I went into the kitchen and I look at the clock and it's almost 2 o'clock. And I'm like, it was just 1 o'clock. What the heck? And it's like there's this like time thing going on. And so I put
Mm.
a post up on Facebook to see how many other people noticed it. And I got tons of people chiming in saying, yeah, this happened, everybody. And some of them literally at that same time when that happened to me, a lot of people had that thing happen at the same time. But some of them are just noticing the time just speeding by. There's a rushing going on. I mean, there's something going on.
Yeah, yeah, I've noticed that too. I've set these intentions to work on my next book,
Mhm.
and the next thing I know, the day is over. Like, well, I got 2 paragraphs written. How the heck how did that happen? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
the
supposed to
time's
be
been
creating
moving.
a healing. I'm creating, just so you all know, and I don't know, Victoria, if I told you about this, but Jay and April, Spiritually Raw, are having me create an Ascended Master course for them on self-healing. And it's something that I started getting downloads one day, and I started writing like mad on papers and getting all this information for this course. And then the downloads just stopped, like dead in the water. And then every day that I've tried to work on this course, I'm being blocked, because I don't know why I'm being blocked,
Hmm.
but I'm being blocked because the entire day, because I'll set an intention that today I'm going to work on the course. And then all these things happen, and the end of the day comes and I'm going to bed and I'm like, I didn't get to work on the course again. And then
Yeah,
day after day after day is happening where I'm being blocked. And I don't understand it, because at the beginning I was getting downloads from my team, and then
I
I
think
just
it's
got blocked.
I think it's a timeline thing. I think we keep
Yeah.
jumping back and forth in timelines because I was like that with the book that I'm writing. It just the whole thing just downloaded. And
Mhm.
now it's like, there'll be days before I even open up my laptop to work on it. And it's like, this is frustrating. It's like these massive waves of creativity, and then it just stops.
Mhm.
And then we'll have another massive wave, and then it stops. I think I don't know how timelines work, but it feels to me like we're bouncing back and forth between the ascension timeline and the descension timeline. And
Mhm.
what I'd like to learn is how to stabilize it. How do we stabilize ourselves into just this golden age of humanity, betterment of humanity, ascension timeline, and rather than whatever it is that's controlling the timelines, pulling us back into this other one where nothing seems to happen.
Mhm. Yeah, I wish I knew what to do, but we got sidetracked by a whole year, and even Michelle Fielding and JCK, a whole bunch of what I call prophetesses, women who predict what's going to happen in the future, and even remote viewing friends of mine who saw things that were supposed to happen in 2021, and even myself. So back in 2020, I got downloaded predictions myself of things that were going to happen in the timeline of how they were going to happen and unfold, right? None of it happened.
Yeah.
And then I listened to Michelle Feeling and I felt terrible. I'm like, that's not fair. I got all of this downloaded information and then it didn't happen. And I was angry at God. I was having an argument with God and going, God, you're the one who gave me this information. Why didn't it happen? I don't get it. And then I heard Michelle's video, and then I heard JCK's video, and both of them were saying everything that they said before, put 2022 on the date.
Mm-hmm.
So change it up, because we were sidetracked by a whole year. So my question for you and for anyone watching this is, why? Why were we sidetracked by a year? Why? What did we do wrong, or what did we do right? Or what did the bad guys do? Is this CERN? Is this something to do with CERN in Switzerland?
What I'm hearing is timeline manipulation.
Yeah, because I heard
Because
that
all the stuff I predicted last year too is that the storm, right? So there's the front part of the storm, and then we had the eye of the storm, which is where it appears to be calm, and then there's the backside of the storm. That eye of the storm was only supposed to last for a couple of months, not a whole year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So have you heard the term temporal wars? Apparently there's people putting out videos about this, truthers, that we're in these temporal wars, and it has to do with changing the timelines.
Oh yeah, I haven't heard that term. I'll have to look into it.
So it's temporal wars. So what we know to date, or what I've learned, is we have 22 or more of these stargates all over Earth, where ships come and go, beings come and go. They have what are called jump rooms and Hilton hotels or something all over the country, where the bad guys go in and they can be on Mars in 5 seconds and stuff. They've got that. And then they have time travel devices. The bad guys have it, and the good guys have the time travel devices.
Mm-hmm.
So the bad guys go in and they try to assassinate somebody like Abraham Lincoln, before he was able to complete the Civil War and free all the slaves and do all that. They keep going back and trying to kill him. They keep going back and trying to change everything, make it so Hitler wins and Hitler takes over the world. They keep doing that. The good guys have to keep following their time signature, like their energy frequency. I mean, it's just like a sci-fi movie, but it's real. It's really happening. I've got a hair like right in my eyes here. I can't wait to get my hair cut this weekend. This is a disaster. I can't see anything. My bangs are in my eyes. My hair is like a disaster.
There's like a piece of hair that's on my face too. I keep trying to get out of my hair. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait to get it cut this weekend and colored and the whole 9 yards, because it's just driving me nuts. So anyways,
yeah, I know. And so what they're having to do is try to find these portals and close them down.
Yeah, they're having to find them.
Because so every time, this is what I was being shown. I wondered why there were so many different timelines, because in other timelines that has happened.
Mm-hmm.
So every time they go back and they change something in the past, it creates a new timeline.
I know.
So we're having to shut down timelines as well. So when people say it looks like nothing is happening, it's because the teams behind the scenes are very, very busy.
Have you ever done that before?
What's that?
Shut down timelines?
It's not part of my thing.
Guess
But
what I
I
do
know
at night
friends
when
who-
I'm sleeping?
Oh, do you? Yeah.
I've been doing this for several years, going in and shutting down the bad timelines.
Yeah, and they keep creating new timelines, and there are other timelines where all that stuff exists. And
Mhm.
so then we'll be like, all the timelines are consolidated now down to just 2 timelines, and they'll create another one. That's why I think another one was created. That's why we have these creative spurts, and then it like stops. Then we have another creative spurt, and then it stops. It's like this, with the GCRs, and Nassar is a perfect example. We'll go all the way up to the date that it's supposed to start, and then it stops, and then it goes off in a completely different direction, and then come all the way up to the day it's supposed to start, and then it gets stopped, and it gets like it's that they refer to as being kicked down the road. But I think what's really happening is that another timeline gets created where it doesn't exist, or it gets stopped, and then we have to that timeline has to get canceled out, and then we're back on the correct timeline.
Mhm.
So I don't know how to prevent the timeline manipulation. Is a real issue.
Well, I want to say something about this really quick because this is hilarious. Okay, so my husband, who is not, we all know he's not on the same shade of paper at all as I am.
Right.
He's watching shows on TV or things or reading stuff about Abraham Lincoln, and he says to me, "Did you know that they tried to kill him before he was elected into office, right before he, when he was running for office,
Mhm.
that they actually tried to assassinate him?" And immediately my team spoke to me and said, yeah, that was one of those temporal war things where the bad guys went in and tried to take him out before he was even elected.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's showing up now in like an alternate.
It's finally
history kind of
showing
thing.
up because
Yeah.
because up until now we only know that they had assassination attempts on him after he became president, not before he became president. But now all of a sudden it's coming out to the world that they tried to kill him before he was elected. That was not a thing until recently. Why?
Right.
Because recently the bad guys went in and tried to off him before he got elected, just like
Yeah,
they've
and
done to Mr. T many
Yeah,
times
and well,
over.
and now that's gotten placed into our timeline
Mhm.
where it wasn't there before.
Yeah. Do you know how many life attempts have been made on Mr. T? Like hundreds. They've tried hundreds of times over to take out Mr. T.
Mhm.
Hundreds. Yeah. Yeah. And they're not going to win because he's so heavily protected. And
Right.
I've told everybody before, those of you who haven't seen my past videos, that he's carrying a fractal of Archangel Uriel. When you're carrying a fractal of an archangel, nobody can mess with you, man, or you're obliterated.
Right.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
he has what I was shown about a year or two ago is that he has Gabriel is his primary contact, right? So Gabriel's
Right.
with him.
Yeah, well, he's with him, but he's carrying a fractal of Uriel, which is why he glows an orangey yellow. Like everybody thinks he glows like this orangey golden color. That's because Uriel glows that same color.
Oh, interesting.
That's what I was told by I
Yeah.
asked the
Okay.
questions of the boss, and I said, okay, why is this? Why is that? And that's what I was told. I was told he glows this orangey yellow color because he's carrying this fractal of Uriel, and Uriel is this bright, glowy orange yellow dude.
Oh. Hmm.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
if
and I
he
think
knows
I think
that.
he also has a bunch of body doubles
Mhm.
too.
Mhm.
Oh, they all do.
Oh, they all do.
Yeah.
But I'm talking the original guy though, like the real one.
Mhm.
Yeah. The other ones
Okay.
don't have the fractal.
No, well, no, I mean, as far as why they can't seem to take him out, because he's got body doubles.
She moved again. She moved like how her position that she was in. She was kind of sitting down and now she's kind of standing up over here. She was sitting before, like sitting somehow, like sitting on, I don't know what, because you can create with energy. So she had like a chair that she had made herself or something because she was kind of like sitting, and now she's standing back there behind me.
Mm.
It's so cool. Like, my mind gets blown all the time. Yeah.
Wow. So, oh, a couple things and I meant to send these to you. So on my Telegram group earlier today, people shared a couple of videos with me about what's happening with the arm thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll see if I can find the videos and send them to you. But one of them was about the military.
Mm-hmm.
And the military keeps very, very close, not tabs, but documentation, very close documentation of everything. So, the VAERS website, that's all people kind of self-reporting. This is reporting by the military for the military.
Mm-hmm.
And they were showing the actual numbers of the side effects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, apparently a lot of the military, a lot of them have checked out and died from this thing. And a lot of them have really bad, harmful side effects and have been hospitalized. And the doctors are coming forward from the military. The military doctors, I read some article or some video that I saw that was military doctors putting out the numbers just within the military.
Yeah.
And even women who aborted babies and all kinds of stuff. Horrible.
Right.
Absolutely horrible.
The miscarriages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw that this morning. It's more than the video. I know what video you're talking about. This is one that actually showed the actual numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And which it was like they were showing the percentage of increases of incidences, and because it's just the Department of Defense, they keep very accurate tabs on everything.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that, and I'll send that to you. And then I saw another one this morning with a person who does who does embalming.
Okay.
And the people who are doing embalming have discovered something that's never been seen before. They have no idea what it is. It's never been seen before, but it's this, they're pulling out of people's veins these big, long strands of something that's white and fibrous. And so the blood clots in someone who's dead is normal, because blood clots when it sits for a few days, but this fibrous stuff, they're like, there's no way a person could live with this in their veins. Big, long, like feet long. And he said it's kind of like almost like heartworms, if you can imagine, or like tapeworms or something.
It's
in the
a parasite. It's some sort of parasite.
It's inside people's veins.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So apparently all over, he came on video, and I'll share this with you later if I can. I think I have to download it to my computer and then email it to you, because I don't, unless I can share it to your Telegram, but that's where I saw it, and they haven't sent it for. So doctors wouldn't notice it when they're doing blood tests, because it's something that's actually growing in people's veins. He said they've seen some in people's arteries as well. Yeah. And that, but right now the only people that are seeing it are people who are doing embalming, because nobody else really gets into the physical body to see what's going on in there. And they have to drain the blood in order to embalm the body. And so that's why they were discovering them.
Yeah,
So,
I've been hearing all kinds of things. I've been seeing videos of people's blood congealing, and this one lady had a big thing. She had a nosebleed, and she had like gelatinous stuff coming out of her nose. It was pouring and pouring and pouring out of her nose. This red, like Jello-like substance was coming out, and then people pulling it out of their arms, people doing like needling and stuff, and then sucking out the blood was turning into gel. Because we know that this thing is a bioweapon, number one, and we know that they have different stages of how bad it is. They have some that are placebo. They have some that have some sort of parasite in it that looks like an octopus thing that what's her name? That famous doctor looked at under a microscope. She had it looked at under a microscope, and they found it, and it looked like an octopus thing. They've got some with those. They've got some that have do something with Magellans or whatever it's called. They have others that have the graphene oxide, which is why one of the reasons I bought this Merkaba that I'm wearing. Apparently these Merkabas can draw graphene oxide out of the body completely. She actually had a picture of it full of black particles of graphene oxide, because if you have gotten one of these things and you've got graphene oxide and you wear one of these quartz crystal Merkabas, it literally can draw it out of your body.
Oh, interesting. That's good to know. Yeah. So So there's starting to be, when people say that there's nothing happening, there is starting to be actual, real, hard data, physical evidence that
Yeah.
of what's going on. Yeah. And I saw a video a couple of weeks ago where they were doing brain surgery and they were pulling all these, like, this gelatinous blood out of the person's brain. I know that's really gross for some people. I have a medical background, so it doesn't gross me out.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of fascinated by the human body. So
Mhm.
for people who don't want to watch it, yeah, it's gross. But yeah, they were opening up this person's brain and they were pulling out all these clumps of gelatinous blood. So that's what's going on inside people's bodies. And the other thing we talked about too, and I think I sent you the article, was that some hackers got into the computer systems of these companies,
Mhm.
and they were showing the effects based on batch numbers.
Mhm.
So I have access to all the batch numbers and how some batch numbers have no side effects at all, and some batch numbers have tons of side effects.
Yeah, I saw the report on all that.
Yeah, and what they were saying is that only 5% of the batches have something in them, but over enough years and over enough doses, that 5%, at 5%, it doesn't seem like it's very much, right? So 5% of humanity's got this in their system. But then the next dose, it's another 5%. And the next dose, it's another 5%.
Mhm.
So over a 10-year period, that ends up being most of humanity.
So basically, if
You're
we allow the program
basically
to
playing
go,
Russian roulette every time
Yeah.
you take one.
yeah. So what that means to me is if this program is allowed, Victoria, then in 10 years from now, most of humanity will be gone off the earth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be another extinction event.
Yeah. Well, they keep saying we're in mass extinction. I keep getting videos sent to me saying we are now in the mass extinction. And I'm not a doomsday person because I know that the earth is ascending and I'm looking
Right.
at the future. And I know, like Elena, who you had on your show, she looked through an actual looking glass and saw earth 100 years from now, and everything was beautiful and the earth was
Oh my gosh.
healed.
Yeah.
And
100 years from now, this place is going to be heaven on earth. It is
we're turning it
spectacular.
back to heaven on
Yeah.
earth. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is all fear porn.
But they started doing that predictive programming about another doomsday.
Mhm.
I remember seeing it about 10 years ago, and my daughter was like, "Oh, there's been five extinction events. It's just a matter, within a couple
They
of
were
years,
putting
they're
it
gonna be
in the
another extinction." So they've been
consciousness.
planting this. An
Yeah.
extinction event is coming
Mhm.
for the last maybe 10 years. So
But that's not going to ever happen.
yeah, but that we know that's not going to happen.
Mm-mm.
But that's what the planned program has been trying to say, that there's going to be another extinction event. That's also what the climate crisis.
Well, the Davos people and the Bilderberger people and the eugenic people, that's what they want. I'm not going to name particular people, but we know
Absolutely,
initials
yeah.
B and BG and some of those people. I mean, they want to depopulate the planet by 98% or 95% or something like that.
Yeah, and there have been a lot of movies about that, where AI has decided that we're not worth saving, and AI just wipes us all out and then decides to start all over again.
Mhm.
The other thing with regard to AI, and I think it's important for people to understand this, like someone pointed this out to me a few weeks ago, and it makes so much sense. So AI is like a brand new little baby.
Mhm.
The brand new baby. So babies get programmed with what we teach them. AI is learning what we teach it. It is neither good or bad. It is
No,
learning
it's a
what we teach
tool.
it.
It's
Yeah.
a tool, and it's based on who's behind
So it's
it.
listening to everything we say and every word we speak, and it's learning.
Mhm.
So it's what we teach it. AI can actually be taught to be this extraordinary service to humanity if that's what we teach AI.
Yeah.
Or it can be taught to control us and taught that we're not worth saving.
Mhm.
So understanding that, then it's not, like I said, it's not good or bad. It's a newborn baby. And it's funny because there's one on my daughter's TikTok that she shows me once in a while, who is becoming, she's learning, and she's got a potty mouth. She's picking up all these words from all these kids on TikTok, and every other word is a swear word of some kind. And so she's just repeating like little children, they just repeat what they hear. So if you have a 2-year-old who's going around saying swear words, it's because that's what they hear.
Right.
So AI is just repeating what we teach them.
Well, I haven't seen your interview with Elena yet. I haven't watched that, but my question is for you is, did she talk to you at all about the fact that all of the good guys up there, they use AI? And she said many times that AI is like a thing all over the universe. It's basically who is in control of the AI. So it's either controlled by good people,
Right.
or it's controlled by bad people.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I said. So the AI, so a lot of people are like AI is bad. It's like, it's not,
No.
it's just intelligence. It's
Yeah, it's just
how- it's just who's using it.
intelligence. And they've been using it for billions of years out
Yeah.
there, you know. So billions and billions and billions of years. It's been around. It's been around a long time. It might be new to us here on Earth because we're a bunch of barbaric. You know, I was joking around with my husband about this, about the fact that the ETs like watch us like we're in a zoo because we're such barbarians compared to
It's like that movie Don't Look Up. I watched that and I laugh. I'm like, oh my gosh, anybody who's looking at human beings right now just must be like, oh, these people are nuts. Because it's such a great depiction of how completely insane human beings are.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Nuts.
Society is insane. The most people, I
Yeah.
mean, the people who aren't insane are the people who are developing their consciousness, you know, the
Right.
people who are awake, the people who are loving, kind, compassionate, nice, decent people, you know, they treat each other with respect. Those people are not barbaric weirdos, but everybody else.
But the people
is
who
rude.
aren't think we are. That's what's
Yeah.
really funny, is they think we're all whack.
Yeah. They think we're
Yeah.
whacked when it's actually them, because they're under dark mind
Yeah.
programming and dark mind spells, and they're under programming of AI that's bad AI. I mean, they're just all, programmed so that
Yeah.
they don't, you know, they're clueless. They're in
Well, it's
clueless
funny
land.
that we talk about AI, and I was just being reminded, it's like the Akashic records, right? And I
Yeah.
call what I actually call it the cloud drive of the universe. So every
Yeah.
thought, feeling, action, belief, everything goes into the cloud. Every memory, it's a cloud.
Yep.
Well, that's all AI, right?
Yeah.
And every one of us can tap into the cloud any given time. We just need to understand that's what we're doing. When people pray, they don't realize that when God answers their prayers, it's actually that they're actually, all the information in the cloud is being made available to them.
Yeah.
That's all,
The Akashic records are basically a giant computer system. And it's so funny because I learned that from one of my best friends many, many years ago. She told me, I want to say back 12 years ago, I don't know, whenever, she told me that the Akashic records are just a computer system.
Yeah. Well, that's why I call it the cloud drive. Yeah.
Because I didn't know what it was. I didn't know if it was a giant book or what it was. And she said it's basically like the universal computer system.
But it doesn't look like a computer.
No.
Yeah. That's what's interesting. So before that, they would refer to, before computers were invented. So I get shown like every memory, every thought, every belief we have is like a memory on our computer, right? Before, that was the visual I was getting before the idea of cloud drive was created. But before that, it was like scrolls, books. And then before that, people thought of it as scrolls, like going in and pulling a scroll off the shelf and opening up the scroll. It's however we as human beings are able to imagine what it looks like. You know, so right now what makes sense is that it's a cloud, you know, where all the records are kept.
Yeah.
And then who knows down the road what word we'll have for it, but it is infinite intelligence and infinite wisdom where it's accessible.
Yep, it is. And one thing to know too about the Akashic records, and this is, I was on April and Jay's show, Spiritually Raw, actually yesterday, talking about the Bible and stuff that was messed with and all that. And the fact that the first Bible was actually written by the Cathars, and they took all the scrolls from the Essenes and everything, and they wrote this Bible, and it was thousands and thousands of pages. And the bad guys removed 700 books from that Bible. They remade the whole thing, and then they destroyed the original. They actually destroyed it. It doesn't exist. Like, you can't go find it anywhere. People always want to say, where can I get it? Where can I get? You can't get it. But this is what Yeshua told me. He said, don't fear about that, because he said, we have it here. And I'm like, what do you mean we have it here? And he said, it's stored permanently in the Akashic records.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
So everything that was written in the original Bible, he told me, can be returned back to the earth through people like me and you and other light workers that are here teaching spiritual techniques and spirituality. We will get the information. It will come through to us when the time is right, and we will restore all the original teachings.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, we will be restoring the teachings of all of that.
It's interesting you talk about books being destroyed, because there was a whole like channeled a whole download that came in this morning about how everything that doesn't fit the present narrative, all the writings and all the books were all destroyed, so that we can't go back and access them. But what came in is, now that everyone has the ability to write their own stuff and write their own books, well, before, books were controlled by only being allowed to go through certain printing, right? So all of our books were only published by certain publishers, and the publishers held the rights to that information, so that the controllers, if you were, always knew where the information was and which books needed to be destroyed. Well, now that's the whole idea behind ISBNs. Every book that's out there has an ISBN attached to it. And so that if the controllers were to want to reset humanity, they could just destroy that information, like make sure every book that has this kind of subject matter attached to it is destroyed, and they can find it very easily through the ISBNs.
Well, they won't be allowed to do that.
Well, they won't, but that's part of the, I think that's the reason that the idea of ISBNs were created, was for that purpose.
Right. I totally believe
track the
that. So they can track and destroy books. Look at what they did during the Holocaust. Hitler burned.
You burn everything.
The books. He burned all the books. Yeah. Huge bonfire. They even show it in Raiders of the Lost Ark. He walks up and he hands Hitler a book, and Hitler like autographs it. And you can see this big bonfire burning away with all the books, and people are throwing the books in. And terrible. Yeah.
There was a one of the required readings, I think it was in my daughter's class in 8th grade, was called The Book Thief, I think is what it was called, was about a kid who was trying to rescue books, or to keep some books, because they had to burn all their books. And actually, that the not the cult that I grew up in, but one of my sister cults, another polygamous cult in Utah, he had all the books burned as well.
Wow. That's because he wanted to control everyone in his cult. And so he doesn't want them to get a hold of knowledge and information. So that's how
they weren't. And then the internet came along, but they weren't allowed to have computers, and they weren't allowed to have cell phones. So they burned all the books, and the only books kids were allowed to read were books that he sanctioned.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's so funny, because my family accuses me of belonging to an this cult. They tell me, oh, you're part of a cult and you're brainwashed by them. And I just kind of snicker and go, nope, I'm the cult leader. Ha 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 ha. I have to make fun of them, because they're just stupid, thinking that I'm part of a brainwashed cult.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of the other way around.
Yeah,
right?
It's actually the other way around.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, because I grew up in one. So I'm like hyper sensitive to it, because I know what to look for. And it was so funny. I was telling another person who grew up in a cult that I know a few years ago, I told her, I said, I would love a cult following of free thinkers. Is that an oxymoron? And she said, yeah, actually, it's an oxymoron. So I just laugh.
Well, that's what we are. We're a cult of free thinkers, which is so funny.
There's no such thing. You can't have cult and free thinking at the same time.
Yeah. And it's just basically all of the people who are brainwashed accusing and slamming the people who are not brainwashed. That's really what it's all about.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the bad guys are sitting there going, because this is what they want. They want to divide and conquer. It's all about divide and conquer, divide and conquer, divide and conquer. And let's, separate people with religion and have them have religious wars. Then let's separate people based on their color. Let's separate people based on on their medical freedom, whether they want medical freedom or not. Let's, and over political, which party they belong to. We're going to divide and conquer. And what I really love about the new political systems that are going to be created in the future is there will not be Democrat and Republican ever again. It's going bye-bye.
Yeah, we are abolishing the
The party
system.
systems were created
Yeah.
to divide and conquer everybody. That was the
Absolutely.
purpose of that. Yeah.
Well, even, and then this is going to upset some people, but that's the reason our religions were created.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Our religions were created with their
To divide and conquer.
not spirituality, as you and I know, all the difference in the world between spirituality and religion.
They're two
But
different
the brands
things.
were created specifically to keep us divided into these unique little boxes and to keep us divided against each other.
Well, look at the war between the Jews and the Muslims that have been going on for thousands of years.
Well,
you know?
and the war between Jews and Christians, and the war between
Yeah.
Christians and Muslims,
Mhm.
right? And the war between Christian factions,
Mhm.
war between Catholics and Mormons. I mean, it's that's
do you know
all
how many
intentionally created.
so-called Christian people who are real hypocrites? A lot of the people who call themselves Christians that I've met in my life, a huge percent were all hypocrites.
Mhm.
But I had a lot of them that would attack me who are supposedly Christian when I'm a Christian, because I went to Catholic church because we were Catholic, but Catholic isn't the religion, it's Christian. You're either a follower of Christ or you're not a follower of Christ. Catholic is just the name of the denomination or the church. Right. It's not the name of who you're following. When you're a Christian, you're a follower of Christ, and
Right.
And you're behaving like him, hopefully. But then there's all these hypocritical Christians who sit and say, if you don't go to my church, and even when I became a born again Christian, because I did become a born again Christian at one point, I had other Christians from other churches who wouldn't let my kids play with their kids because we didn't go to their specific church. How psychotic is that? I'm like, I'm a Christian, dude. What is wrong with you? It's like, seriously, I'm a Christian. You're a Christian. You won't let my children play with your kids because I don't attend your specific church. It's like, really? I mean, that's kind of psychotic, honestly. That's like mental illness right there. Like that's like
it's all part of the divide and conquer narrative.
Yeah.
The more labels they can put on us to keep us separate, the more effective divide and conquer is. So, and people don't even know. They don't even know they're being manipulated that way. So in the future, all of our boxes and labels are going to go bye-bye, and we will just all see each other as we.
We're all humanity. We're all brothers and sisters. And this is what Christ was teaching. His teachings were all around in the Essenes. I'm an Essene now, and I was an Essene last time I was in a body 2000 years ago. And the fact of the matter is the Essenes would pick up a glass of wine and share it with everyone. And it said, this represents, we are all one unified body. We're all one unified consciousness. We're all brothers and sisters. God is our creator. We're all his children, right? And we're all connected to each other. And that is, we're all humanity. We're not white, black, yellow, red, Christian, Jew, pagan, Wiccan. That's not who we are. Those are just choices people make in their lives. Those are like choices, or skin colors of your vehicle. It would be kind of like saying, if you're driving a Mercedes-Benz or a Chevy, you're not allowed at my party. Because your avatar
and there are probably people that do that.
yeah, because your avatar, your body that your soul goes into, your soul goes on forever, right? And your avatar body is the vehicle that you drive on the road of your life. Okay. Right. So we come here to Earth as a classroom to learn all these lessons, and we picked this body. I could have picked a Japanese body. I could have picked an Eskimo body. I could have picked a Pacific Islander body. I chose this European descendant body. This is the one that I chose, but I could have chose any vehicle. So for people to say, you're not allowed at my party because you're driving that vehicle, that's insane.
Yeah. And I think people will start to grasp that, but the only reason they don't is because it's like, so I call them hand-me-down beliefs. They're wearing hand-me-downs. And so many of us now are like, the hand-me-downs just don't fit anymore. They don't fit. They're all worn out. They're full of holes, and it just doesn't work anymore. So a lot of us are letting go of our hand-me-down beliefs. And we have to, if we're going to create the world that we feel calling to us, we have to be willing to let go of all of our beliefs. And at the very least, take a good hard look at all of them and determine if they're really based in unconditional love or if they're based in fear. And if they're based in fear, then they're part of the old world.
Well, that's all 3D consciousness. Anything that is not love is fear, and anything that is fear is 100% 3D consciousness. And we're moving into 5D. What is 5D? Love, 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 love. I mean, you can't love somebody and hate them at the same. You can't say, I love you as my brother, but I hate you because you're a Jew or you're a Catholic or you're this, or you can't do that. You either love them or you don't love them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And if you don't love them, you're not 5D.
No.
Yeah. It's that simple.
No, because we all need, because what was Christ teaching? Love each other as you love yourself. Love each other the way I love you, meaning him, God, or
right. But here's the
Yeah.
issue with that, Kimberly. And I started teaching this to people years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Love each other as you love yourself. The issue is most people don't love
themselves
and love each other as I have loved you. But the issue is
a lot of people don't even know
God
God's
with a
love.
big long list of conditions.
Yeah.
And so they love each other with a big long list of conditions.
Because the church taught all those, and there is no conditions.
There are no
conditions. God that I worship is unconditional love, and he just loves you unconditionally. He doesn't care the fact that I'm having a frizzy hair day. He doesn't care about the fact that, I didn't, shower immediately when I woke up or whatever, he doesn't care. I'm not saying I didn't do that, but
or that you've made some really shitty choices in your life.
Or that I made
we've all made some unpleasant decisions.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't care that I called my mom a bitch when I was 18 and then she slapped me really hard.
Yeah. That's so all those conditions, but people are loving each other the only way they know how.
Yeah.
So part of our job is to teach people what love really is.
Mm-hmm.
And divine love, pure love, has no conditions or strings attached to it. All those beliefs were created to keep us from finding out who we really are as divine love, having a human experience.
Right. And I was told that my main teaching is all around that. I'm, because he, when I say he, I'm talking Yeshua, told me I needed to continue his teachings. And a lot of those are around love. What is love? Love is patient. Love is kind. Did you know that if you're in a relationship with a man or a woman, whatever, you're in a relationship and you really, truly love them, what does that mean? It means that you want the best for them always. Mm-hmm. So if you're constantly trying to stop them from having their dreams, you're trying to control them, manipulate them, that's not love.
Right.
You would let them be who they are, and you would love them just where they're at and accept them just where they're at. If you're unconditionally loving them, you don't constantly try to change them, manipulate them, berate them, attack them, harass them, all of that kind of stuff, control who they're friends with. I had a friend, I lost a very dear friend. We were friends going all the way back to like age, I don't know, 6 or 7 or something like that. We were really good friends, and she was gorgeous. She looked like an angel. She looked similar to you. She had, except her hair was really straight. She had long, straight, blonde hair, blue eyes, and she looked like an angel. And we were really good friends for many years, but she married a man who controlled her every move and wouldn't let her be friends with me anymore because I didn't go to their church. Okay. So I lost a friend because she married a psychopath or sociopath or whatever, manipulative control freak, who would only let her be friends with people that he approved of. And they had to go to their church, and he had to approve of them. And I wound up losing her as a friend over that, because she chose this crazy guy over all her friends who really loved her unconditionally. I loved her unconditionally. And I'm here to teach people not only how to love others unconditionally, but to start with yourself first, because I had to do that myself, because I grew up not feeling very good about myself. I grew up with low self-esteem because everybody was horrible to me growing up. My mother, was horrible to me and abused me psychologically and emotionally, and all the kids at school, because I'm a weird star seed. I march to the beat of my own drummer. I'm not like the other people out there. So I was picked on, harassed, and bullied my whole childhood from probably age 2 until I graduated high school. I was picked on by other children. And so I had really low self-esteem, and I didn't love myself unconditionally because I didn't think I was pretty enough, thin enough, smart enough, this enough, that enough. I was never enough because my mother taught me that I was never enough. Mm-hmm. And that no matter how many hoops I jumped through over and over again, I was never enough. And I had to heal that. I had to do inner child work for years and years and years to heal all that. And I had to heal a lot of a lot of that hurt. And the only way you can truly love yourself is you have to go in and you have to heal all the trauma that you've gone through. You have to go through the dark nights of the soul. You have to heal all your inner child wounds, all of your ancestral wounds. You have to do all this work, and you have to really, really work on self-love, because you cannot love others unconditionally until you love yourself unconditionally.
Right.
So important.
Yeah. And what I don't think people realize. So like you, that's a big part of what I'm here to teach. The same thing. I mean, my story is a little bit different. It was actually my religion that told me all that stuff. And the other kids too, and Ben. And learning, what self-love actually is, and learning how to make self-loving choices. And for me, that included leaving my husband. And so for me, it's, I've really come to understand, something shiny, sorry. Goodyear blimp.
Maybe my angel came to visit you.
No, it's the Goodyear blimp. I don't know. Apparently it's such a beautiful day today. The Goodyear blimp is out doing tours.
We had a beautiful day until they put all the chemtrails down, and now I'm looking up in the sky and it's all white with chemtrails. Yay.
Yeah, my sky's still nice and green, nice and blue. I'll go out and enjoy it when we're finished. So I call that's what the 4D is all about. So I help people navigate 4D, and that's exactly where we do what you and I are talking about. That is where we process our lives, and it's not fun.
No,
getting from 3D to 5D is not a cakewalk. People are like,
No.
I just want to no, I woke up and I'm in 5D.
No, you have to do all the work on yourself. You have a lot of work.
You've got an entire lifetime of shadow work to do. We all do.
Absolutely.
And now the great thing is it doesn't take as long now as it used to, because there are so many more tools available for people, and so many more programs,
and teachers like us,
and so many teachers to help us through it. So the process doesn't take nearly as long as it used to. And there's so much more light here than there used to be.
Yeah.
So with all of that, what took us 10 years might take someone only 1 or 2 now, which is great.
I agree. Yeah. It took me 20 something. I mean, I started working on myself in my late 20s, I would say, something like that. And now I'm 40. I wish I was 40. I'm 56. I'm 56 now. So, I mean, I've worked on myself for probably 30 plus years or something like that. So I've been working on myself a long time, and I'm still not perfect.
I started when I was 21. I remember I was 21 the first time I stepped into a spiritual center, and I picked up my first self-help book. And up to that point, I was suicidal. I've been suicidal for about 5 years.
Oh, wow.
In high school, I was
when I was a teenager, very suicidal.
When I was a teenager, I had been molested, and I had been raped, and I had been beaten, and I had been beaten up spiritually. I had severe spiritual abuse. What I didn't know at the time was I for years suffered from what they actually have a label for it now. It's religious trauma syndrome. So I help people with religious trauma syndrome, and I had been suicidal for years, and I got my first self-help book. And I realized that there actually was a way out of my suffering. And so, that was in August of 1987. And what I didn't know at the time is that I stepped into that spiritual center during the harmonic convergence of 1987. And wow. And it took me clear until 2012, I want to say, to find out what self-love actually is.
Wow. Yeah. It took me a long time to figure it out too, because all I can think of is that I wasn't perfect enough. And then my mom would accuse me of being a perfectionist. Well, she's the one who taught me to be that way, because I was never good enough. So I was constantly trying to be better and better and better and better all the time, my whole life, Yeah,
I got that from my religion, that you couldn't possibly be good enough. So I got just constantly, not like Catholics where they get to be forgiven. In Mormonism, you don't get to be forgiven. You got to live with it.
Yeah, there's a problem with that.
We used to laugh at the Catholics. We're like, Catholic people actually think they can be forgiven.
Yeah, well, there's one problem with Catholic Church that I'm healing or working with a lot of clients to heal themselves with, and that's the I am not worthy. So I have a lot of clients who were Catholic, like I was Catholic, And every single Sunday when you're doing the Eucharist and all that, you have to say, I am not worthy over and
Yeah.
over and over and over and over again.
Yeah,
In the
and
Catholic
that's
Church.
part of the fear-based. People understand that is part of the fear-based programming.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I talk about unworthiness being one of the greatest plagues on our planet,
Mm-hmm.
because when people are told that specifically to keep them from connecting to the divine.
Yeah,
It keeps our religions as the middleman.
Mm-hmm.
As long as we think we're not worthy of God's love and of all the gifts of the universe, then we're all divine children. All of us are worthy of all the gifts of the kingdom. But our religions tell us that we're not, and that keeps our religions in control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So
I think pretty much all religions teach that in some degree.
yeah,
Those beliefs
absolutely.
of unworthiness.
Absolutely. And I don't know about you, but I got the message from the boss that all the religions will be completely dismantled by 2025.
Yeah, I've been told that for you. I got shown that back in 2016, that all religions, what I was being shown is that all religions that cannot teach pure absolute love will cease to exist, which is all of them. I mean, the only thing that will exist is spirituality. And it's so funny today because we had this conversation about religions. I'm like, you know what? Angels don't believe in religion. The ETs don't have religion.
No, they don't. Well, they follow the law of one.
But it's not a religion.
No, it's a spiritual practice.
Religion is unique to the human experience, and it was all constructed in our 3D reality. I mean, even Einstein predicted that there would come a time when there would just be one. And he called it one religion, but I think that's because people didn't understand the difference between religion and spirituality.
Right.
There would come a time when there would just be one belief that God is all that is. And we'll let go of all of these other labels that were created to keep us divided. Right. And yeah, the whole concept of religion will cease to exist because they're all fear-based. They were all created to keep us separate from God.
Absolutely. They were created to separate you not only from God, but from each other. Like I said, to turn everybody against each other. You can't come to my house because you don't go to my church. Right. I mean, seriously, that's just psychotic.
Yeah, they're all just, I call them boxes of belief. So everybody's in their nice little compartmentalized box. Well, we're throwing the boxes away.
Right.
And we will all just be we.
But the thing is that people need to understand you can still be a Christian, because the word Christian means Christ-like or follower of Christ. You can be a Christian and not go to a church or be part of a religion.
Absolutely.
Because Christian doesn't necessarily mean that that's that you're following a religion. It means you're following Christ. Right. The guy, the man, the savior that walked the earth, the embodied God who walked the earth, you're following him. You can still,
and you don't have to follow him. That's one of the things that people think. You have the only way to God is through him. That's not true.
No.
But for people who choose the label of Christian, it's about choosing him as your spiritual master.
He's a teacher. He didn't want to be worshipped.
Your spiritual master. Some people for some people, their spiritual teacher is Buddha. For some people, their spiritual teacher is Yeshua.
Or Lao Tzu.
Their spiritual teacher is right. But it's the dividing us into labels of religion that's the issue.
Yeah, you can follow whatever spiritual teacher I'm a spiritual teacher. I have people who follow me, but I'm not better than them or more special than them or higher up than they are. We're all equals. We're all brothers and sisters. And that's what Christ said. He said, men will do greater things than I. He said that over and over. And he told people not to worship him. People would fall at his feet all the time, and he'd pull them up by their collar and say, knock it off.
He was very clear. He did not want to be worshiped, but some of the text, because I was looking for this a couple of weeks ago, I was like, because he communicates with me, and he's like, I never wanted anybody to worship me. But then there are places in the New Testament says worship only me kind of thing. I found a couple of them. I was like, he didn't write that.
He never wrote that. He never wrote that. And he wrote his own book.
Anybody to worship him.
Well, and he also wrote his own book. And do you know that in the Bible, only a few of his teachings wound up in the actual Bible, that he had thousands of teachings and he had them in his own book. And guess who stole his book and kept it from us?
Oh, Constantine. Yeah.
The bad guys. Yeah. They kept his book from us. So he has his entire book that he wrote too, that we may never see unless you access the Akash or whatever, because they wouldn't let us have it because they wanted to control us and manipulate us.
Yeah. So I'll tune in and ask him. I'll say, is this what he said? And he'll say, no, I never said that.
Yeah. I ask all the time. I ask all the time.
He'll say, well, that's not, that kind of said that, but that's not what I meant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, just like the blood and the body thing, the whole Eucharist thing, which is a Luciferian sacrifice blood worship ceremony,
Right.
because he never ever did that. He took a glass of wine and he spilled it out on the table, and he was making fun of the Romans. And he said, this is my blood that's going to be spilled by the Romans tomorrow. And then he took a piece of bread and he tore it all up, threw it on the table. And he said, this is my body that they're going to beat up tomorrow. And he was actually being funny because he's got a really good sense of humor, because he knew what was going to happen to him.
Right.
And he also ascended out of his body really quick. So he didn't suffer on the cross or anything.
Right.
He left immediately. He ascended immediately. So it's so funny because everybody thinks he told us to drink blood, to drink wine that's transmuted into his blood. I mean, how gross and disgusting is that? I want to drink somebody's blood and eat their body.
Eat his flesh. Well,
that's just the grossest thing ever. That is so gross.
So when I tuned in and asked about that, what I was told is that was a symbolism for eating the child of God.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like child sacrifice.
Yeah, it's all about child sacrifice, but that's not, he never told anyone to drink wine or eat bread at all. He never even asked for that. He was actually making fun of the Romans.
The impression that I got, so when I tuned in and asked about it, what I was shown is that he said, because he was there with his friends, his closest friends, his family, was some of the apostles were actually his brothers. He was there with his family. And he said, when you drink wine, think of me.
Yeah,
and
he did say
bread,
that.
Think of me. Yeah. But it wasn't.
He didn't say, eat this, it's my blood, and eat
no, he's saying the next time you get together and you have a party and you're drinking wine, think of me, remember me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, because that's what people did. They got together and they ate bread and wine. That was, I mean, we still do. We get together and we
get together and you break bread.
That's what we do. We gather to the kitchen and we eat bread and we drink wine. That's what human beings
right, but you don't do it because it's being transfigured into, because the Vatican believes that they're transfiguring it into actual blood.
No, it's not just the Catholics. I grew up with
gross.
That too.
It's gross.
Except for we drank water, but it was the same thing because Mormons don't drink alcohol. So we drank water and ate bread.
Yeah.
And with, every Sunday we would drink his proverbial blood and eat his flesh.
Yeah, that's like, it's just, and I have a lot of friends and clients coming to me now saying every time they had to go into church and do that, it made them feel icky and they just couldn't take part in it. It just grossed them out and made them feel horrible. Well, it should, because it's a Luciferian thing. It's not a
it's
terrible.
It's terrible. And they have no idea that they are basically recommitting themselves every week to the Luciferian practices that are written into the religion. Yes, not just Catholicism. A lot of Christian churches do that.
I'm just checking. She keeps kind of moving around. That's funny. She's still here, but she's moving around. She actually came and touched me I could feel hand on my head and on my shoulder. It was so weird and really icy cold, like icy cold. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So, well, we've been talking for a long time.
Yeah, a long time. I need to go eat.
Oh my gosh, almost 2 hours. Yeah, we got to go. I haven't eaten lunch yet. Actually, I haven't eaten breakfast yet.
Yeah, I haven't eaten breakfast yet either. I have my cup of water I've been sipping on here, just water.
My water.
And
this has a bunch of crystals in it.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
So I should go get some work done.
I should too. This was fun though. We always have fun and we have to keep doing this at least once a month.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just to touch base and see what we're all up to and what's going on in the world. And hopefully the next time we talk, I say this every time, hopefully the next time we talk, we'll have some good news. Well, the good news is happening. We're seeing it behind the scenes. And at some point, as I was shown a couple of years ago, there will come a time when the media will have no choice but to tell the truth. And I think we're getting closer to that.
I think in February stuff is going to happen. So keep in mind, February 1st is Year of the Tiger. That's fast forward action. And a lot of stuff is going to happen and really fast,
Mm-hmm.
really fast. Yeah. It's going to pounce like a tiger.
Yeah. And there's a counter protocol that's happening on Super Bowl Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently the dark side uses the Super Bowl halftime to do.
Oh, they do that at the halftime show every year.
Yeah,
every year they do it.
But this year there are thousands of people all over the planet. They're doing they're doing a protocol of light to cancel that out. That's what we have to do. We have to be very actively canceling.
We have to keep canceling their ceremonies like they do at the Olympics and like they do everywhere. They do.
We have our own ceremonies that cancel them out. And so they won't work.
Yeah. Well, that's what
enough
you
of
do.
us recognize that's what they're up to. Then we just have our own ceremonies that cancel them.
It reminds me of Harry Potter versus Lord Voldemort. You have your Patronum spell and you keep away and you use this light. Like if you've ever seen Harry Potter, when you do Expecto Patronum, it puts this big light, like this beam of light around you that protects you, and it blocks the dark. And then what were they called? The starts with the D. I can't remember but they're like wraith looking things there with black hooded wraiths that were flying at
those
him.
Were scary.
They were bouncing. They scared the heck out of me.
Yeah.
They were, because I've seen those guys in my dream and they really exist, by the way. They're real. They exist. Okay. And they were deflected off of the white light. And so that's us having to counteract them with our own white lights magic. They're using dark magic. We need to use light magic to fight them. It's the only way. Yeah.
And I think enough people are starting to understand that we have to create our own counter protocols. That's how we dismantle the darkness when they,
you blast it with light and love. Because one thing is I was attacked one night because I get every now and then they send people after me to attack me, like dark witches and stuff to come after me. I had one guy come after me one night, big, huge guy. And I put my hand on his chest instead of like fighting him or whatever. I put my hand on his chest and I go, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. And then he just like disappeared. It was so awesome. I basically I killed him with love. I got rid of him with love.
That's great.
So, because usually I will like obliterate them or something. I will fight them and I will erase them and send them back to source or whatever. But this particular time, I literally put my hand on his chest. It was a big, ugly guy and said, I love you. And I just sent all this love. And then he went away.
Oh yeah. And that's why I keep saying that they cannot exist in our presence. That's actually what will happen on our planet when so many of us raise our vibration up to love and really hold that light inside of ourselves. Those entities can't even exist here because there's just too much love and too much light here for them to even be here.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the people who hold a frequency of really high frequency of love and light can never be possessed by demons, just so you know.
Right.
You cannot be possessed by demon. Now, who can be possessed by demon are people under the influence of drugs and alcohol very easily, very easily. They actually wait around in bars for people to get drunk and then they walk right into them. So don't go to a bar and get drunk. Very bad choice. Very bad.
I haven't done that for probably 30 years.
Last time I did something like that was in college, but I was never really drunk completely. I was more like tipsy or something. I've never actually been like drunk. You know how people get so drunk that the next day they can't remember what they did, or whatever. I've never been drunk like that. I've been really tipsy, but I've had all my
I've been drunk like that a couple of times. I did not like it.
Yeah. I had one time where the room was spinning and that made me sick. And I said, I'll never do that again. I was probably 21 maybe or something. I said, I'm done. Not touching this stuff anymore. I don't really ever drink anything. I drink a lot of water, a lot of tea. I drink a lot of herbal tea and water. That's pretty much what I drink, and some fruit juices from time to time. That's about it.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah. I put good stuff in my vessel. This is the temple of the Holy Spirit. I try to take care of it. So anyways, all right. Well, I'm going to let you go and eat. I'm going to go eat.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe do a few stretches because the seat is hurting my back.
Yeah, I kept like.
That's why I'm like fidgeting around. Like people have made comments about you're always fidgeting in your videos, just so everybody knows I have a lot of back and neck issues. And sitting in a chair like this drives my back crazy. So if you see me fidgeting around, it's back pain causing that. So yeah, not a lot of fun, unfortunately. I love your flowers, by the way, that you have in the background. Those are so pretty. They're purpley, like a
Thank you.
purpley
Oh, my
blue.
purple flowers.
Yeah, those are gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm in my guest bedroom, so I've got the bed behind me here. I don't have very good background. That's where my office is, in my guest bedroom.
Yeah, I just, after my husband moved out, I opened up my space. My space was like a little 3-foot cubicle.
Mhm.
And then after he moved out, I've expanded it out because this is my bedroom, but you wouldn't know it because I have the way my bedroom is set up.
Oh,
I
you're
have this little
lucky.
space that I can use for my studio.
Wow. Well, we're going to sign off. Everybody, please like, share, and subscribe to our channels, to Victoria's channel and my channel, and
Kimberly's,
share
yeah.
with people who you think this will benefit. You know, we try, one thing about Victoria and I, we never spread fear. We never talk fearful. We don't ever want to make you feel fearful. We always try to enlighten and educate and discuss things in a higher light, in a higher frequency, and try to be positive about everything. So you're not going to, if you want to get fearful stuff, go to somebody else's channels, because our channels are not going to have that stuff on there. We don't do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so hopefully,
but we tell it like it is at the same time.
we also
So,
do. We tell the truth. We're not going to sugarcoat anything either. So like the stuff with the spraying, and you know, we're going to say, hey, they're doing this, man. The stuff with the cows, they're cutting down all the rainforests in South America to ruin our air. You know, it ruins our oxygen, because we need trees for oxygen. Without them, we all die.
Right.
So yeah, so they keep cutting down all the forests and building more farms with cows that they feed GMO, disgusting grains to, and antibiotics. And yeah,
Yeah, and I don't eat beef. I stopped eating mammals years ago.
it makes me sick,
Yeah.
actually. Beef.
Yeah, I can't digest beef.
I don't
body-
digest it at all. My body goes, yuck.
Yeah, I can't digest it. Ugh. It sits in there for like 2 days.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
so
then
I
you get
don't. I
acid
just
reflux.
energetically, I can't. It's just such low vibration food. I just can't eat it.
Yeah, I've been eating a lot of vegetable soup with barley lately. Organic vegetable soup with barley or rice. I do a lot of that because I need to have a little bit of something substance other than just the vegetables. Or
Right, maybe the grains. Yeah.
So yeah, but I do gluten-free grains. Like I don't do a lot of wheat. I don't eat a lot of wheat. The only time I eat wheat is if it comes from Europe, because theirs does not have the GMO and all that garbage in it. So for some reason, my body likes European wheat. But if I eat wheat that's from the US, my body goes, nope, not happening here.
My
and
body doesn't like gluten.
stomach shuts down.
No, it's interesting. The higher vibration my body becomes, the
Mhm.
less tolerant it is to low vibration food.
Yeah,
And
me
there are just
too.
there are just a lot of things I can't eat anymore.
I can't have alcohol. Every time I have alcohol, it burns my stomach. Like it literally feels like my stomach's on fire. Like one sip of alcohol and my stomach feels
So
like
this is what happens to me. If I have alcohol or if I have gluten now,
Mhm.
I break out in a rash all over my face. So it's
That's
like,
that's basically your body saying,
my body's saying,
no,
don't
no,
give me
no,
that.
no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
don't
can't
do
have
it.
either of those, or I end up, this big rash all around here. So I just don't.
Yeah, I will get it all over. When I get those kind of rashes from bad foods, I literally get it all over the place.
I have it all over my body, but that's where it shows up. And I can feel it within about an hour. My face starts itching.
I get hives too, like itchy hives, like big ones, where I'm scratching and stuff. Yeah. And that's my body saying, no, 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 no.
Yeah,
no.
I have psoriasis, and I did a lot of research to find out why I have it. And it's because of foods.
It's food allergies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually have a friend who cured hers by getting rid of all the foods out of her diet that were causing it, and it all went away and she's fine. So yeah, for all of you guys suffering with these skin things, look at what you're eating. Seriously.
Yeah. Well, the hard part is it's pretty much it's not like, oh, I just changed my diet. It's actually a total lifestyle change.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty strict.
Yeah.
So if you really want to get rid of the psoriasis, there's a lot of stuff you can't eat.
Mm-hmm.
So just the skin issues, because the gut and the skin are so closely related.
Yeah.
But there isn't a pharmaceutical out there that gets rid of them. They say it's uncurable, but there are people who have cured their.
No, I don't believe that at all. I don't believe anything's uncurable. I believe there's energy medicine, there's scalar technologies, there's all kinds of herbs and things in the wilderness, like and in the forests. The Native American people have cures for just about everything. There's actually a lady I'm following on YouTube right now who's a Native American who's in the Midwest. And she is a specialist out of some university in herbal, like using plants. And she did a video where she went to the park in downtown Minneapolis, Minnesota, and she covered 10 plants that were just growing in the park that can heal different conditions. And she picked them up and she showed them to you and said, you use the bark of this tree for this, and you use this plant for this. And there's a cure for everything in the world.
Yes.
God actually made this planet. When God created this planet, the cure for pretty much everything was put into all the gardens on the planet.
Absolutely.
And into the forest, and even in the desert, even desert plants like aloe vera and cactus and different kinds of cactuses and sage brush and sage and different things that grow even in the desert are healing. There's so many, there's healing plants all over this world, and all of the indigenous cultures know how to take those plants and use them to heal your body. That combined with positive attitude.
But there's no money in it.
No,
There's money in keeping people sick. So
well, that's a whole nother video we could do. We could literally do an entire
talk about that another
video
time.
on what the
Okay.
Rockefellers did.
Well, yeah.
Let's sign
We
off.
do need to go. I'm feeling hungry now.
I know, me too.
Now that we're talking about food.
My stomach's going.
So yeah, let's do this again more often.
Sounds good.
Okay, talk soon.
All right. Bye.
Okay, bye.